Got my ass. Kill him all.
Something happened there. Hello and welcome everyone to Therapy of the Absurd, episode 16.
Hi. Dana's like, whatever, I'm over this week.
This is a special week. This is whiskey week for me. It's at the lows and the highs, and it's necessary. Although
I'm
brings out
pretty
some
sure I'm
interesting
gonna
monsters.
end up in an AA meeting if I keep it going this way for the past week. I've had so much anxiety. I've literally gone to the liquor store like twice this week for big bottles.
Mm, that's kind of interesting. I guess I should feel okay about myself. I'll buy one thing of bullet, and not even the big bottle, just the little one. That'll last me for a week. It's kind of weird, but that's what you got to do. You gotta buy bullet. It'll last a while.
Thank you for showing off how good you are with self control.
I thought that if there was a week that I might actually drink, this might be it, but I've still held off. I think I've had like maybe 2 glasses of champagne this whole year, like maybe, like just because it's just not my thing. But I will say this: my hormones clearly have anxiety. Like I have a pimple and gray hair, and I'm like, okay, could we pick a struggle? Could we pick puberty? Like, can we pick one? Can we pick one? So I don't know. I think that's where my stress is.
It's kind of funny that like the day before I had to go back to work after furlough, I started getting pimples. I was like, no, it's happening again.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. Not only am I badly drinking, but I'm also impulse buying. Like I even went ahead and bought this necklace, which is supposed to be a T-Rex. Wait, wrong side.
It's a T-Rex?
It's a T-Rex, but
I see it. I see it. It's very cool. It's very cool.
And I'm like, I'm an adult. Why am I buying this?
But it's actually, I mean, honestly, it's very cool. You know what, Stacey? You and I have the same lipstick on. I think your shade is a hair darker, which is really beautiful. But and I stay away from this, but I was like, I think we're gonna do something different. And so now you and I are ebony and ivory live together in perfect harmony. I love that song.
I love it. Keep going. I can hear a whole album now.
But everybody remembers the song, right? Y'all remember the song?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and since we were talking about SNL, I do love when Eddie Murphy, and I'm forgetting his name, one of the great guys from SNL. You are black and I am white. You are blind as a bat and I have sight.
Joe Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo. Yeah, he was funny.
He was.
It was
underrated.
Okay, so this is
Sinatra
crazy.
with
Yeah.
I've never actually heard the actual song of Ebony and Ivory. I've only heard everyone's parodied version, but I've never actually taken a moment to hear the actual song.
Really?
You're crazy.
It's okay. It's okay. So I just remember like it was during the good old 80s MTV days, and there were just so many, like great videos and great everything. So, that was the duet between, obviously everybody else knows Stevie and Paul McCartney. And then, but like Michael and Paul McCartney had a great song, Say, that was, the video was real super cool. Like, I just remember that video. LaToya Jackson was in the video, but yeah, that was a great, a great era. We'll have to, I know we can only probably pay 15 seconds here, but maybe we'll have to like pull it up before the show is over. I'll pull up the music video if we want to play it, before we go. Because I think that would be a fun. I want to know who over here might know the song.
Well, after that, we have to play the video of Mick Jagger and David Bowie almost making out. Which what was the song they did together? They did a song. Is David Bowie? Someone in the comments.
Satisfaction?
No.
Rolling Stones.
All right, looking it up right now.
And when you said Mick Jagger, I was like, oh, okay, State of Shock. Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson had a great duet that they did.
Oh, Dancing in the Street. They did Dancing in the Street.
But they who? David and Mick Jagger?
David Bowie and Mick Jagger. And they just like those two guys getting so close to each other. Like in a way where you're like, just make out already. We're okay with it.
You took it back. And of course, now I'm like I'm looking at what happened to Joe Piscopo, because he was somebody that, I certainly admired greatly. He was funny, not necessarily my inspiration, but I just thought he was funny. And when I look back on it now, I think that was the era in which I was watching. So that's why, like, when people are like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Brad Hall were on Saturday Night Live, I'm like, yeah, they were. Like, yeah.
I mean, it's a good way if you know any. There's all those best of Saturday Night Live. So if you know of someone you really like, That's a great way to find all the other people that were great, because they would put everybody that's been great on Saturday Night Live gets with the other great people. You know, like that's just the way it works. They put them in something. It's like if you watch the best of oh my gosh, Tommy Boy, what's his name? Chris Farley.
Oh,
It has plenty of stuff when Adam Sandler was funny. David Spade. Yeah, I know I'm a dick for saying that, but it's okay. But like it has the best. It has the best stuff. By the way, I mentioned we were watching Terminator 2 with my family the other day, and that reminded me of one of my favorite Saturday Night Lives was when Linda Hamilton was on after Terminator 2. That had Massive Head Wound Harry. I'm forgetting some of the other ones, but there were so many great ones, and that was back when Phil Hartman was around, and missed that guy, of course.
She seems like such an intimidating woman. Like, I would be afraid to approach her at any point. She just looks like she'd be a Karen, but I feel like it's like a strong Karen. Like, it's me. What? Or is that just me?
Well, actually, when we were watching it, she did remind me of like your really what's it called? Really intense teenage cousin that smoked by the time she was 13 and yells at you about nothing. Like,
the cops are still outside Stacy's place.
Now, did she? I don't know. For some reason, I thought I heard she was, but yeah, bipolar. Like, so she did. She has bipolar disorder. You know, and now I just learned something actually super that I didn't know. Did anybody know she had a twin sister? Did anybody know that?
No, I didn't know.
Oh yeah, I did.
I didn't. But her twin sister just died like 2 months ago, like August 22nd.
That I didn't know.
Didn't know. Like, I'm just like, I just wanted to, look it up, because I was just like, what, like, now, of course, I'm like, where's Joe Piscopo now, and what's he doing? And then Linda Hamilton, same, what
it's
is
always crazy when you find out people are twins. Like,
right.
Ashton Kutcher is a twin. Who else was it?
Okay.
There's a couple out there that we would have never guessed were twins because they're fraternal, but also,
I mean, like, if people don't talk about a twin, you just don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but the comedy world now knows. Well, the Flappers world knows that I have a twin, because they actually you guys weren't in the show. They put her on the screen because they were like, and next we have, is it Donna Keel? And I'm like, no, it's not. And I sound check with you all. I'm Dana. That is my sister in New York, who is holding on to being awake for dear life. And you have now put her, you have spotlighted her, in this, whatever. So, but if people don't talk, like, I mean, Linda Hamilton, that's like a big shock to me. And I feel so bad because like came and went in one day. Like, she's not here.
Yeah, I knew about the twin because of all the hardcore behind the scenes stuff for Terminator 2. The sister was doing the stunts.
I was gonna say, was she an actress? Was she in the business also?
I know she did stunt work. Past that, I don't know.
Okay, I'm trying to
that's all I know.
See, I always felt bad for her because of her separation with James Cameron. She was portrayed in such a negative way.
Right.
And I feel like her career completely got derailed after the separation. Maybe it was also because she was probably difficult to work with as she was battling her illness. But I feel like she still had such strong potential. She seemed like such a strong character. That's why she's so intimidating to me. I feel like she could play a kick-ass person.
Right. And she, let me see, I'm looking, the sister is actually, oh my gosh, the sister looks a lot like when like Kirstie Alley in the early days of Kirstie Alley's career. Like,
we don't speak her name.
Oh, we don't? I didn't know.
Oh, why?
I was reading her tweets. We don't speak her name.
Oh, she's a Donald T supporter.
Oh.
Is she?
Oh yeah.
I think hardcore.
Oh,
hardcore.
Really?
I mean, I still like her movie. What is it? Look Who's Talking.
I loved her movies. I was so heartbroken when I found out that she was. Look, I have no problem with conservatives. My family is conservative. Like, half of them are conservative, which I get, and it's the radical ones that make no sense. Even if you've provided so much information as to your opinion sounds really stupid, are the ones that I don't like. Like, I was telling the boys before the show started that the only people that have you guys are the boys. Okay, stop it. And,
all right, let me just tell you what we're gonna do here. We're going after that Homelander. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, she's insane. Like, I didn't know she was, and maybe I did hear she was insane, but like, she's really insane.
I like how she's Googling her right now.
I am, because I like two things. Like, cause like I feel like, you know, I'm not saying she was any type of hero, but I think I did vaguely hear that she, you know, was Republican. But like, I guess these are just things that I don't keep following up. So like, I don't know. But it just says she was downplaying the COVID numbers and that she was asked by CNN to like basically shut it up about, you know, like not shut it up, but like I'm like, what? Like this is insane. Anyway.
Well, I think maybe why she's so angry is you're the first one to Google her in a while.
Probably.
So
Yeah. But I will never speak her name again. I don't have an issue, man.
It's the same when I found out about James Woods. I was like, nope,
Was
you're
he-
ruined. My childhood is ruined.
James Wood is bad news also?
Oh my God, Dina!
I know.
What bubble
Like,
have you been living in? I want to live in that bubble again.
okay. And here's the thing: he's somebody that I met and I admired his work. So you're telling me he's? I mean, it was a long.
He's the worst. Are you? I wouldn't.
He's-
Then I wouldn't go into the bubble. Do not
Okay,
Google him. Do
I'm
not.
not.
Your perception will just completely.
Humble. I will leave it. I'm trying to turn my alarm off. I apologize, you guys. I set an alarm because I was working on something. And you know how those are.
if you put up Ed Namrock's last comment there, Stefan,
Mhm.
just to let everybody know, you missed it. If you didn't watch the show last night on the Ed Namrock podcast, he's put it up.
Mhm.
And this is reference to a little thing that I did. So go find out who Harry Badiches is, okay? Just go do that. Just watch the show until you see that part. Just from the beginning until you see that part, and you'll see the best parts of the show.
And then Dan's like, forget everyone else after that. Just
No. Hey, I'm only saying that because it's at the very end of the show. That was my tricky way of watch it from the beginning to that part of the show.
Because then you'll see the whole show. Okay, we got that's a good one. That's a good one.
Now I'm worried. It's Bullet, Nick. Of course, it's Bullet.
Nick, it's Bullet.
It's Bullet. It's Bullet Rye.
Okay, I'm going to tell you one last crazy thing I did because I do a lot of crazy things. But okay, so remember how I'm really bad with money and I like to spend more than I should.
That's funny.
I decided to get preventative Botox this week, and you guys, I don't have any lines.
But like that, okay, what a concept. So, but sweet, I'm sure you didn't have lines before. Like,
oh no, I had a lot, but
you did?
I had a lot. There was like 5, and then there was like I could furrow my brows very easily. Now I can't. Now I just look constipated.
Oh,
Like
wow.
but I am not disappointed. Like I did it because look, I already saw my mom and my grandma and my great grandma, and I'm like, the genetics aren't in my favor. I'm just gonna take care of this before it gets to that point. And
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say I learned something new. Like when I was at the salon earlier, and my person is actually in nursing school, but she just wants to be able to administer, like, because she's a hairdresser, a cosmetologist, so she just wants to be able to administer Botox and things like that. And you have to be a registered nurse to do that. And she was telling me that she had gotten, you know, same place, this, right? Because she said she furrows a lot and whatever. But what she told me was that I was like, well, how long does it last? Like, and she was like, oh, like 4 to 6 months. I was like, oh, so you have to keep, and I was like, well, does it like pile up? Like, she says, no, it dissipates. I was like, and it's safe because these things are not off the table. I'm not saying yay or nay, but you get to a point where it's, you know, like I'm looking at like when now on Instagram, when they're like face yoga, I'm like, what do I do? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, so I totally get it. Like, so it's funny you mentioned it because I literally like 2 hours ago, I just had that conversation 3 hours ago.
so I've learned that the key to help your youth is to constantly moisturize your skin. Like you need to use a really good moisturizer, and that's honestly. But like I said, genetics are still a good part of it. My grandma has a strict skincare routine. She looks great for her age, but wrinkles have not been doing so well there.
Hi, Grandma. Glad you're watching.
My grandmother.
She doesn't understand English. I'm okay. I love you, Grandma.
My girlfriend also said that water is key because she said even your Botox will last longer, like the more water you drink. You got it. And she said she was not on top of her water. And so,
well,
does vodka
Stefan
count
has
as water?
Very little.
This got some. But Stefan has prepared something for us tonight, and we're going to talk about a very serious subject. Everybody, we have to do our serious subject here, and we're going to see what all of you think in the comments about this.
Boop, 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 boop. All right, here we go. We're going to put that up. Oh, how will the mass public react to the 2020 election results?
How are all you reacting out there in the world?
Right. I think that the public, it's so funny as we were talking on Monday and Stacey kept stressing, like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, let's keep it loose. Let's keep it loose. Let's keep it loose. I think people are going to react the same way we've all been reacting. The memes are abound. Like, we're all like, this is a group project. Did everybody fucking do their part? Or either the other great meme is like, it's like, we're all waiting for the results from an STD test. Like, we're just like, what, just, I think it's a very, let's see, Arizona election, cheap chides protesters who gathered outside. Like, yeah, Portland surprised me. This is surprising in Arizona.
Arizona is the biggest.
Well, and this shows how much children are supporting Trump, because these are people like, we should stop counting the election at the end of election day. Well, we've never done that. Yes, we have. I know history. And then after that, they're like, well, he's not ahead. You got to keep counting the votes. It's like, you guys, You're that kid you invite over that goes, you want to play a game? You want to play a game? And then he keeps changing the rules so that he can win at the end.
And it's so that this is amazing to me. Like, I think these are not the protests we expected. And I'll be frank, I did not expect, even if I let myself believe that Biden would not win, I didn't believe that people were going to protest. I certainly didn't believe that that supporters, if he didn't prevail. And I know it hasn't been called yet, but I feel like I'm feeling very confident and very positive. So I'm just holding on to that. But this is weird. Like, it's weird.
I think
it's weird.
I think we're reacting already, but it's a slow burn because we've never been put in I've looked up, but I could definitely be wrong. I don't think we've ever been placed in a position where the election results are taking this long.
We have. When Gore lost, we had to wait.
But was it that? I thought it was only a few days. They're saying it's gonna take maybe until the 15th.
Yeah,
well, Nevada said until the 15th.
I don't believe Nevada. There's not enough people. I think
they just leaked that somebody who's one of the powerful people in Nevada, supposedly, if what the leak or what they're saying is true, is I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but is holding the election in Nevada, trying not to call it for Joe.
Well, and actually Georgia was close last time I checked. So
right,
very close. Yeah. They by a point. Yeah. By the way, look at Ed Namrock's message right there about a great American. You see it? Yeah.
My question.
It's a second above the top. Look, Alex Jones just showed up to Maricopa County with a megaphone. That's the only platform that bitch has anymore. That's why he needs a megaphone. He's been kicked off of everything else.
The article was saying.
The
article was saying President Donald Trump supporters rally Wednesday outside the Maricopa County Recorder's Office in Phoenix, Arizona. Some of the protesters were actually armed. So we have some in there that are not carrying firearms, and there are some in there, and I was watching some of the live footage of that, and they're actually carrying some rifles with extra bullets in there. So yeah.
Oh, okay, but my question is, who is paying for all these lawsuits Trump is losing from preventing us to continue from him seizing the ballot count?
He's probably borrowing the money. That's why he's got $1 billion.
Will the
billion come due
coming soon? Because it's the president filing these lawsuits, or will Trump be held responsible and claim he can't pay it later? Like, who is going to pay for these lawyer fees?
Yeah, and we also didn't think, as the mass public, that the election would even last as long as it's already lasting. Right, it's already going on longer than it should.
I hoped it wouldn't, but everything that I was donating to, all the PACs that were emailing me, Color of Change, Black Lives Matter, Mobilize for Black, like everybody said that it would not be conclusive. And even you guys, I'm sure y'all have all seen the Jimmy Fallon clip with Bernie. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much called it, and I honestly am grateful for that.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, and he called it precisely down to Wisconsin and Michigan and da 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 da. And I think, because of not necessarily because of him per se, but we're more vigilant, and those things and those states have been flipped, and the county, all these things are happening. But I feel like we were warned quite a bit that this was not going to be over the same night. I think it was just people like me and a bunch of us who were just hoping that if we could blow it out, the fact that there was this idea of it being inconclusive would be looming. But if there was a blowout, there's not a lot you can do. But I think I think we're winning. And I say we, maybe just me, but because I am a Biden supporter, but I think we're winning. I just think we do have to, I think it sucks just having to wait it out.
It's just weird. What's like the thing is part of the drinking the whiskey. I see that he's probably going to win, but here's the things that are bumming me out. First of all, you still have 70 million assholes who voted for this guy.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. There's no excuse for voting for Trump anymore. Like after the last 4 years, there's no excuse because of the behavior and because he doesn't respect democracy, and he's made it very, very clear. It's not the conservative stuff. Fine. Well, that's a different topic. I'm talking about a single person here that should have lost respect by the American people. Instead, what he's done is he's emboldened the middle school bullies that still exist in adulthood. That's all he's really done. It's messed up. And if they, the Republicans keep the Senate, which it looks like they're going to, the memories of Americans just aren't very good. They've proven that, right? So Biden will get in. Right, they'll have the House. If they don't have the Senate, they can't get anything done. And there's going to be people going, "I thought the Democrat was going to do stuff. They didn't do nothing." Yeah, they can't do anything without the Senate. It's just going, and that's a bummer because that's going to push back actual progressive candidates for even further generations. And that's what's bugging me about that.
And then the next thing. Oh, sorry. You want to say?
I was just going to say. Well, one, I think that everybody, African American and all allies, all down their timeline, all of our timelines yesterday was, no matter how it turns out, we really are very clear about the level of racist and racism in America. So everybody spent the day all over social media, particularly stung about that. I think the other thing to look at too is this is probably, I know in my lifetime, and we were talking about this last night, this is the largest voter turnout that I've ever seen. I feel like these are the level of, whether they're conservatives, whether they're white supremacists, or whatever they are, these are the largest numbers we've ever seen on either side. And certainly, I don't think, honestly, in the past, I would venture to say this, and I'd have to look it up. I definitely don't think that white supremacists and conservatives have been out in numbers and activated like this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I really, really don't, because these numbers just have not been here. But yeah, everybody spent the last 24 hours. Like, I'm getting texts from, my ally friends who are just like, I can't believe it. And my girlfriend said, she says, I know you've lived with this all your life, but she's like, I just cannot believe it. And I said, I'll be honest with you. I have lived with it my whole life. I said, but it was still a little bit stunning because one thinks that in 2020, in a 20 years into a new millennium, that we couldn't be this far back, but I'll say this, as far as I wanted to say this before I drop. We still have a chance at the Senate. You guys know that Raphael Warnock has gone to a runoff in Georgia, and I personally, as somebody that has put money in that campaign quite a bit from the time that he announced, and I'm continuing. They texted me this morning, will you be a founding member of the runoff campaign for, you know how these texts are, they're very dramatic. So I was like, yes, Act Blue already has my information. Let's go.
Well, I mean, if the Senate gets one blue, if the House is one blue, and Biden wins it, it's not over. I think everybody that is left or liberal, they have to go, okay, now we're going to hold you to the fire. You got to actually do stuff with the next couple of years before we have a problem in the midterms. Because there's a possible problem in the midterms, right? I don't know if this is going to continue. The amount of voting numbers we've seen is awesome. This is a lot of people that have voted this time. Are we going to see that in the midterms where, unfortunately, Democrats usually get their butt handed to them because they can't usually get a lot of people to go out to vote? That's
But I think that's up to us.
Yeah.
Like I think we can do. Like here's the thing. I definitely hear you, Dan, and I hear people who like you. Like there's the people are continuing to ask these questions, but I think it's the same thing as always is. Like, what is each and every person doing to if you believe or support something one way or another? What role are any of us individually playing to see that that's different?
But you know
And-
what? There's so much freaking self-hate. To tell you the truth, my family, not all of them, but a couple, have voted for Trump. They have no financial reason to be voting for Trump. And they're like, we need that wall built. I'm like, dude, your mom came here illegally. The bitch crossed the fucking border. There was another family member I had whose mother was a coyote.
Coyote?
Yeah, she was a coyote. She illegally came here and then she became a coyote. And she was helping other families. Like she made it her mission to help other women cross safely. So I'm like, what is wrong with you? Had it not been for your mother or your parents, you would not be here. What is with this self-hate? And that pisses me off, the hypocrisy of it all. And a majority, like my family, my mom's side and my dad's side, fled both their countries because of the Salvadorian War. They didn't have an option. It was either they were going to have to be forced into the militia or their local army. There was no option. You're gonna die regardless. Very similar to what's to what's happening in Armenia right now. You don't have an option. You're at age. You're joining. That's it. So they fled for their lives, and they were killing civilians and they were killing kids. My grandma sent my mom and my uncles out here, so they had the actual ability to live.
Amen.
So, I don't know.
I do want to address Nick's last comment that he's had there, and everybody else, come on, tell us what you think. But because I do have an answer for you, Nick, on this last comment. Stefan?
Yes, sir.
You got it? This is someone that starts with seriously, because there's a thing to this.
Right. It's
it has changed. You have to watch the popular vote and watch the individual vote counts of the states. What we're waiting for is the final votes in a lot of those states. They're still counting all of them, so they haven't given their electorates yet to either candidate. But if you actually watch the popular vote, it has changed over time. If you watch that last column right there that we have up on the screen, that one does change over time. And then also Georgia is boom, dead heat right now.
Which we love. Stefan, you yielded to me. What were you going to say a few minutes ago?
No, I was just going to say I found it interesting that Donald Trump came out to do a speech with how bad he was losing to let everybody know that he was going to lawyer up. I just think that's ridiculous.
Because he's a bad loser.
Yeah.
That
part we did know. That part's the only part that, like, I want to be surprised, but like that part, yeah, we were duly warned that he was going to be a bad.
He's been lawyering up, but he keeps losing in court.
I mean, and he basically, like I said, he's the middle school bully who came. Well, the guy who hangs out next to the middle school bully and goes, "Get him!" He's that guy. And he's come out and he's made all the middle school bullies go, yeah, one of us. And then that's emboldened him to be more of an asshole. So he's even worse than when he started. That's just, and hopefully he loses because it's not going to get better if he wins.
He reminds me of Mr. Burns. But who would be Skinner?
I don't know. Mr. Burns is eloquent and intelligent. He's evil. They got that in common, but Mr. Burns actually knows how to speak. So
excellent.
I think that someone was saying like, "Oh, Trump's the new Hitler." He goes, "No, Hitler knew how to speak. They're evil, but Hitler had more of a brain. He was an evil genius. Trump is just a lucky asshole." So.
All right, let me move this.
All right, so you guys, we are excited. I can't even believe it's already 8:30. So like, it's like we have. Oh my God! Like it is time. We have someone so special tonight. Like it's hard to contain because like I'm not only like someone who I'm a fan. Like let me just say that I'm a huge fan, and just think that, you know, there's a ton of stuff we can say in terms of her writing, her comedy, just from the first time. And I can just say, I don't, again, I speak more personally, from the first time I ever saw her do comedy, I was like, she's magic, total magic, because she speaks to all of the truths. Obviously we're in, you know, we're in this amazing conversation, so I am holding my breath to definitely hear what, you know, what Ada Rodriguez, woo, the great.
Yes.
You've seen her on Netflix. You've seen her, excuse my French, fucking everywhere. And still someone so a comedian, so in touch with the people, so connected, and just like spitting fire. Her podcast, Truth Serum. You know, see her on YouTube. We're going to be putting up all her stuff in just a second. But we want to welcome, and I also just a big shout out because she's coming in here. I had the blessing of having her on a previous iteration of a radio show. So having to be able to talk to her again with this esteemed panel, we want to welcome Ada Rodriguez to the panel.
Hey. How's it going?
So record that intro and travel with that. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I am the people. So I come from I come from poor, hardworking people. So I am the people.
Amen. 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 Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I want to jump right in. What were your thoughts election night? Like what when you saw all the get down, and you know, there's more questions, but what were your initial thoughts?
You know, when I was on air all day because I was on Sirius and I was on the Young Turks. I was doing coverage of, I did like a 2-hour live on Truth Serum with Benjamin Crump and a bunch of people came on, and we actually unpacked the election. You know, I wish Americans, I mean, Donald Trump has created, he is just, ooh, I'm speechless. Okay. So much to unpack here. Donald Trump is a reflection of the ugliness that has been America for a long time. And it's very easy to scapegoat him because he's unlikable. But the truth is that millions of people aligned themselves with him on November 3rd to make to deliver the message to the rest of us that they don't give a shit about us. Right. So when we talk about Donald Trump, I like to make sure that we don't get so caught up with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is being enabled by a system that is not only, because we can talk about white supremacy, but we can't talk about this without talking about capitalism, right?
Right.
So yeah. It's so profitable for so many of these politicians. I mean, Uber and Lyft wrote a law. Why are they in the conversation of writing laws? A Proposition 22 in California was written and funded by Uber. So, and Lyft and all these corporations. So I just think that we need to address the systems, because we get so caught up with these people. You know, he's a megalomaniac. He's not very intelligent, which, you know, his cousin or his niece let us know. They paid for the test. It's not hard to know that he's not that smart, right? You know, he's making about having his cognitive test. I mean, we've seen him lie over and over again, so we know that he's not a moral guy. But you know, the truth is that many of them aren't, on both sides. So, you know, we so caught up on, you know, the GOP is really broken, it's fractured, and so is the Democratic Party. And I think the corruption has corroded both sides so bad that people were desperate that they didn't want to vote, or they were writing in the names of the people that they wish could run. They were voting for Kanye West. You know what I mean? So I think that you know, and so during the election, I made sure I had a moment with myself before the election to remind myself not to let the election mean so much to me, because on next week, when they know who the president is, or however long it takes, America will not drastically change. Right. To a magical country that's going to be kind to those children that are missing from those cages,
Right.
to the Muslim Americans in this country, and to the immigrants that come here from all over the world, because they like to give immigration a brown face as if the only people that come here come from Central America. And the truth is that they come from all over the world. They come, Eastern Europeans come here and commit crimes. Asian Americans Asian people come here and commit crimes. People come here from all over the world. So immigration is not just, an exclusively a Latinx issue. So I just want us to remember that these last 12 years of politics has just really been a revealer of what America has been for such a long time unchecked. And I think that it needs to break so that we can start rebuilding it. And this is our dark ages. And no matter who Donald Trump thinks he's fooling, he will go down in history as one of the worst presidents ever, because dumb people don't write history books.
Right.
And I think you're totally right there. I mean, the problem started before him. I know it is on both sides, but the GOP has tried very hard to cultivate a stupid and superstitious base. And when I say superstitious, I mean people that still believe in trickle down.
Yeah.
And people that believe that Jesus was a hardcore capitalist. Like, that's okay. So even if you're not religious, you might have read the Bible a little bit. That's not what Jesus was preaching. He wasn't preaching this predatory capitalism shit. Like
No, because he was a capitalist, but not an immigrant. And that's and so if you read the Bible, then you would know. I've read it. I grew up in a religious household. And it's funny because one of the scriptures that scared me away from the church was, better you not be born than to mislead my sheep. And that's really harsh. Like, God is saying to you, you are better off being an abortion than to misdirect my people. And so when I see these evangelicals talking about Donald Trump in that way, because they are fanatical about this, it's just really interesting to me what parts of the Bible they've decided to honor.
Right.
It's not really in the message. The whole message of the Bible is love your neighbor the way you love God. God above all other things. But they're like, nah, that's not. This is, we hate gays. Black people should be slaves. Women should be subordinate. Like, that's what they choose to receive. And listen, the biggest problem that we had in this election, and I will go toe to toe with anybody, is that the fans showed up more than the constituents did. This cult of personality, this celebrity worship that we have in this country is become part of the dumbing down of America. Americans are so much, while the election is trending, so is Kendall Jenner's party. And you see these people talking about their political group like they're talking about the Red Sox and the Yankees. And that is a really big problem. I mean, Ethan Cohen and Mike Judge wrote a movie called Idiocracy years ago.
We were just talking about it last night, right?
Yeah.
Here we are. Reality star is the president of the free world. And we're so consumed with fast food and reality television that we don't realize that while we're having these dumb fights on Facebook and Twitter, they are actually putting into effect laws and initiatives that are even more oppressive to the people.
Right.
And his followers are like, he could just say, look over there, that's a turtle and it's a kangaroo, and they'll all go, yeah, that's a turtle now.
Yeah. No, they don't.
I have a question.
Their own agenda.
They want to
they want to believe. I'm sorry, go.
They want to believe, so that they're at the point of, when you're in a cult, you know that you don't hear the truth, but you have to figure out a way to rationalize it. So that they're at that point now where when they hear a lie, they know it's a lie, but they have to figure out a way to justify that lie in their head because they've reached the point of surrender. And that's what you're dealing with.
I still don't get how they justified cheat on every wife and hire hookers and prostitutes. as being
Because
Christian. Like I don't get how people justify that as being religious. Like,
well, no, it's because the religious people voting for him are the most sanctimonious of the religious. The people that do cheat on their wives, the people that do this stuff, and then show up at church, go, I don't do anything bad.
Well, they also are. They feel like they're absolved of their sins because they ask for forgiveness, so they can do what they want. But the one of the underlying things of that is that systemic oppression and
Mhm.
patriarchy have always been married to religion.
Yep.
And so all of those go hand in hand. And so you have the books that tell you that women are second class citizens and they're objects. And the purpose of a woman is to procreate you and to keep your legacy. All of that is all connected.
Now, something that became big during this election, I'm sure you heard and everybody saw, and you probably got a chance to talk to the whole Ice Cube, the interesting matters there. But to the idea that we have these individual in this country minority communities, because I also saw a piece where the LGBTQ plus community, sat down with Biden, and then somebody was like, well, African. But like, as someone who's Latinx, do you feel like that's how we need to approach this always? That this community needs to come in with their plan, and this community needs to come in with their plan, and then this community gets their plan. Like, what do you think of that? Like, do you think that that's how we need to run this, or that that's how we should be like kind of trying to get our agendas forward?
Well, it's a complicated thing because all the agendas that go forward, none of them get addressed.
True.
You can all stand in line in whatever group. The complexities of that is that when you talk about Black people, for example, there's intersectionality, right? So then you're talking about Black people who are also Latinos. There are Black people that come from the Caribbean, Black people that come from Africa, and they have different journeys and different histories, right? So when you talk about reparations and you're talking about the descendants of the slaves in America, which there's the ADOS group,
right?
And rightfully, the grievances and the demands of that community is very, very important and should be prioritized, because the truth is that if Black American people in this country received the monies for all of the labor that their ancestors did, they'd be the richest people on the planet, because 400 years of free labor is a lot of money in a capitalistic, environment. And the truth is that those people are still mad that labor is still not available. And you have such a resistance. Then you bring in an immigration population of people who come and maintain all the work that those slaves did for also minimal wages, and they mine the crops, they keep the food on people's tables, and you get this free labor because it's 11 million people plus. The infrastructure of America would collapse if all immigrants left. If undocumented immigrants who do so much work here, as you saw in California when the undocumented people were deported, those signs that said "Farmers for Trump" turned into "We need food," because the white people who said that the immigrants were trying to steal the jobs don't want to go out there and mine those crops. So it's a real big problem. So in terms of communities going forward and asking for, there have to be several agendas in this country, because marginalized people show up to work every day and they pay taxes. And there are citizens of this country who are being treated as second-class citizens, but are doing all the things that American citizens are supposed to be doing. And even with undocumented immigrants who still pay taxes and still don't reap any of the benefits of of citizenship of this country. But I think that the greater issue right now is the GOP is so corrupt and it is so corroded that they will double down in solidarity to maintain absolute power. And if they do that, if they manage to do that, all of those agendas go out of the window. So I think it's really important for all people that are fighting for democracy, because historically our time is up, right? Democracies only last but so long. So I think it's important for all hands to be on deck right now. For white people, because poor white people have been deluded into believing that the one privilege that they have over everybody else is their whiteness.
Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
they're struggling. They're struggling in the middle
Facts.
of the country. They don't have the jobs that they were promised. They're not, they are in debt. If they do manage to get their kids off to education, healthcare is a shit show. So we all need to get
Yeah.
together. Everybody needs to, if you really want to fight for America, all hands need to be on deck. And white people have to be willing to put down their privilege to create equity for others in this country if we are to really move forward. Because if not, we're going to be in this perpetual cycle forever.
Right.
And
It'll be
It,
highs and lows every time. And that's part of why I asked you, because like I feel like I get it. I've obviously been black all my life, but I was just like at a point, some of this is it literally because my eyes were on the Ice Cube to some extent. I was like, this is just a distraction. Like for me, at the end of the day, like I can continue to be having my concerns, but I'm about to lay my concerns down because I'm writing postcards to South Carolina. I'm writing postcards trying to get these folks all over the country to do whatever because that's what we need. Like we just need all hands on deck. And that's exactly why I asked the question because at a certain point, I'm like, yeah, but this isn't at this moment. It's not the place or the time. Let's get somebody elected and then let's go in and hold feet to the fire. Clyburn, who is the majority whip in the House, he's was talking to Charlamagne the God about what he's expecting in the first, he said not 100 days, but the first 100 hours. And I was like, and that's the conversation. To me, those are the conversations we've got to have. We've got to start. I mean, I know he was talking about Crime Bill 94 and Crime Bill 86 because that's where mandatory minimums came from. But it's that thing, like it's got to be across the board. Everybody ready to hold leadership accountable for systemic change so that we're not in repeat cycles.
Yeah, but also we have to take into consideration the backlash Biden is going to get from the Republican side because if Biden wins, he's inheriting a mess just like Obama did. And they blamed Obama for it. In reality,
that's what they do.
Bush.
They inherit the mess. They clean up after it. Sometimes they don't make it any better, but they stop it. Like Obama stopped the plane from crashing. Yeah, and I give him that credit. Things didn't seem to go better after that because by the time he stopped the plane from crashing, they had won enough. I think it was the Senate or something to block him the rest of his presidency. But yeah, they do that. They clean up after the last mess that Republicans make. They're the ones who actually fix in the last several decades. They fix the actual deficit. Well, not perfectly, but they fix the debt
as well as they can, as well as
yeah,
what's available.
They get a surplus going at times, like Clinton did, and then it's like the next guy comes in, he goes, "Well, my buddies don't want to pay for stuff anymore."
Yeah.
The
other thing you were saying, though, that I really wanted to address because I think it's important for us to have this conversation in terms of I ain't talking to anybody who comes into the game on the 9th inning.
Right.
I'm not having that conversation with anybody because there were plenty of candidates on the stage and nobody was saying anything. And the other thing that I want to say when we talk about these privileged celebrities who are stepping into the realm of politics is because politics and activism has gone mainstream. And it is very, very profitable. So when you talk about people who've lost their relevance in their own fields, whether it be rap, actors, James Woods, all of these people that you see now speaking and stepping into the political realm, it's because the president of the United States sells merch because it is so profitable to be an activist. It's so profitable to be political. And that's why you see so many actors stepping into this realm and comedians and whatever. And so when you see these people and they receive all of this attention and you see them trending on Twitter, you better believe that they're making money. And so they are pimping the American people just like the politicians are. Mm-hmm. And for someone like me who's been doing this my whole life, because I've been doing, I started my first nonprofit anti-drug organization when I was 14 years old in the ghetto of Miami where I was going. This is what's held me back in my entertainment career because I don't want it if I can't use my platform to help the world be better for my people and the melanated people of the world. You have to see how everybody is just trying to step in. You see these actresses and the sad part about it is as soon as they get a job, They go right back to their fields, and they don't do anything for the people.
Right.
Yeah. That's why you can miss me with all of that. Like I don't, and if you have a plan, I want to see the plan. And where did you decide that these were, the components of the plan? Who did you consult with? Because there are people who do this work all day long, every day.
And for the past 30, 40, 50 years, been doing this work. The Congressional Black Caucus came to be in 1971, and then the amendment for the right to vote, 65. And so I'm just saying there are people that's been at this a long, long time. And for you to, I was like, how are you even moving? Like, what are you even saying right now? Like, this is, oh my God. I was so like,
Goya pissed me off.
Who?
Goya.
Oh.
So Goya
Did you say the
got it.
Goyim pissed you off? Oh wait, no, you didn't say that. Okay.
But you know what? Goya is so funny because you said your family's from El Salvador.
Yeah, I'm Salvadorian and Guatemalan.
Oh, so okay. So the funny thing is that you're Latina, right? I'm Latina. But the people who own Goya are Hispanic, right? Which means they're from Spain, and Spain is our colonizers. Mm-hmm. And so they always
yeah, we are.
Yeah, they put themselves into the conversations of Latinidad, and like you look at these some of these streaming platforms, and they'll say for Hispanic Heritage Month, they'll show you all these shows, and they're Spaniards, and it's like the truth of it is that they're just white European people. They're not Latinos. Their journey is not the same as our journey because they are the colonizers. So when you hear Goya, who's been capitalizing off dollars from our people for so long, because we don't even know what the alternative to Goya is. Goya has become such a staple. It's a corporation, a multi-million-dollar corporation. It went to the White House to do what all the corporations have been doing, is to pick up a check and to pick up opportunities and to have politicians in their pockets. To drop off a check and to have the politicians do the things that they need that are favorable to their corporations. So what Goya was doing, what Goya does, is pimping Latinos, because that's what they've been doing.
I really hope it burns them, though, because note to self, white people don't season their food, and that is what Goya primarily does. So take yourself to Alabama. Good luck.
But I'm also a different type of Spaniard. Like if they were saying, "Hey, we're going over on the boats to go colonize something," I go, "But we have siestas here. Why are you leaving?"
Well, that's like the Black Jeopardy when what is it? Chadwick Boseman says they don't season their potato salad.
Yeah, they will have no seasoning. As we talk, and I love learning. And I just actually learned a whole lot just in the last 5 minutes, even more. I was reading your BuzzFeed piece, Ada, just about the representation of and I just thought it was a very powerful piece, because even though I know we have a matter truly at hand, I think part of me read it and I was like, okay, well, as a Black person, we're mad about all the same things. We're all mad about the lack of dimension. We're mad about and what you articulated around that. In the end, it hurts us more because you are shaping a certain type of impression to larger masses who are responding to this. If you could talk a little bit more about it for everybody who's here and maybe, hasn't read it, I would love to just kind of hear more about what inspired you to write it, or, and
I think about the truth of media and how it impacts us, because the talking point, this big talking point with the GOP is about Hollywood people are all elitists and pedophiles. That's because the pedophilia and the what is it? The pedophilia, and it was something else. That's the Benghazi and the emails of this election, right?
Right.
They hang on to, because you asked them.
Emails.
We do want to bring in a mutual a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to bring in a friend, so we're going to bring in Mark Brazil.
But hold your place, Ada. Don't forget where you were. Welcome, Mark. Welcome.
Hey, Mark, you're muted at the moment, it appears.
There we go. No, he's good. We got him. You're good. We can hear you now.
Thank you. Stacy, by the way, I'm from Buffalo, New York. We eat hot food. Okay?
Oh. He's like, I season my chicken. Okay, get it right.
Yeah, I am outraged
Mark, Mark. You know what I say to you all the time. You not like the rest of them. You
I
just
am proud to say I'm one of the good ones.
you are.
Oh man.
And
Are you still banned on Facebook?
No, I was. By the way, I'm proud to say that Twitter and Facebook banned me for 3 days leading up to the election, probably because I just kept losing my shit. And the reason I got banned from Twitter was because I made a joke where I showed a trash can because of the Orange County thing where they're putting out fake ballot boxes. I said, I showed a picture of a trash can and I go, attention Republicans, this is your ballot box receptacle. Remember to vote November 4th. You know, it contains false information. And I'm like, you are the most humorless fuck in the world, Jack.
So wait, you get banned, but Trump gets to put false information up.
Oh,
That's
well.
bullshit. Like everything he puts up is false, or just really his anger is cringy, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, well,
How come Donald Trump Jr. didn't get banned when he photoshopped Ice Cube and 50 Cent with the damn MAGA hats? Like, what the hell? That gets you banned, but it won't get him banned.
I'm literally surprised there wasn't a drive-by over that. You know, if you put a MAGA hat on me, oh my God.
how much money do you think he has in Twitter, right?
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like, what's going to happen to Twitter when that asshole's gone? And really, what's going to happen to Facebook and Twitter when this is over? Because it's become such a toxic shithole, both of them. And they completely sold out our democracy, and they have. And, you know, the first time, you know, as I realized I was on Facebook, I said, you know, normally you'd have to get jury duty to know what kind of racist, moronic assholes live in your neighborhood. Because you just weren't exposed to them before, you know? And that's why, you know, oh my God. And I even said, you know, I'm really only on Facebook and Twitter to block people.
Yeah.
That's my greatest joy. Like, I agree with you. And here's why. You know, white people have also clicked, fuck off. You know, I don't care. I'm like, yeah, you're disturbing my bubble. Therefore, vanish from my bubble.
Well, we were talking about that last night with Ed, where there's people that put up that post. Who can say that they haven't blocked people for having different views? And I'm like, I block people for having abhorrent views all the time that ruin my day. I'm not gonna keep them around. Fuck them. They're toxic as shit.
It's hard.
And that's the thing, they want to normalize fucked up shit that they believe about. If your beliefs are rooted in my oppression, then I have the right to show you to the door. And that's the thing, like, these motherfuckers don't think that. They act like, as they say in the South, they act like fat meat ain't greasy.
Right? That is what we say. That is what we say.
Yeah, it's just strange to be like on the side of what? You don't like working 60 hours a week with slowly diminishing wages in a country that's getting more expensive? What's wrong with you?
Well, the problem with, you know, that's the other thing. The issues that when you go through 22, 24, 26, when you see that many commercials on TV for anything, you gotta know the teachers union, you know, they didn't get their person on the council. And Uber and Lyft, when you see paid for by Uber and Lyft, vote against it. That's all you have to know. When you see that many ads being funded by that much big money to fuck over workers, to fuck over people that pay rent, LA is like liberal in the same way that Barbara Streisand's liberal. I'm super liberal. Just don't cut down the side of my house.
Right.
So somebody gave me information. I'm not going to say who because I can get them in trouble. But Uber was claiming to one of their rental companies. Okay, I'm going to keep it as like brief as possible. Rental companies that they could not pay they couldn't pay anymore their invoices because they claimed that they were falling close to bankruptcy. Now, mind you, this was probably about a month ago. They put $300 million into this proposition campaign, but claim they can't pay their invoices. So I personally feel that I hate this comparison. I'm sure people are going to completely say that you're dumb or something. They're going to call me dumb. It reminds me of field workers. I feel that people are going to get treated like field workers with this proposition after it has passed because you're getting paid little money, no benefits. They claim they're going to pay benefits, but I highly doubt they're
No.
going to do that.
They're not gonna.
Yeah,
And
no.
it's like a field worker getting paid cash, but getting paid so little in order to just have these jobs available. Like I was really surprised that drivers were willing to take the liability. If they get sued, they're on their own. Uber
Because
just clearly.
they were ill informed, though. That the thing is, just like the language was complicated,
Right.
in the proposition itself, like they were misinformed. So those people did not know. A lot of those drivers didn't know. They thought they were voting in their best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the commercials where all the commercials were Black people, brown people, like they specifically targeted a group of people, like, and then you're like, oh, people arguing on Facebook saying, well, you don't care about the drivers if you vote no. And so that they were really, they put a lot of money into that campaign.
But by the way, here's the shittiest part of capitalism. That $300 million they spent on their fucking ads could have gone to their workers.
Yep.
That's it. Just like the Amazon warehouse workers. Jeff Bezos makes $4 billion more in the first 3 months of COVID. And does he trickle it down? No, because trickle down's a fucking lie.
I have a theory about trickle down. Trickle down doesn't exist,
Yeah.
But you know what does exist? Trickle up.
Yeah.
Trickle up violence. If you get to a point where you're like, I can't afford health insurance for my kids, I can't pay for new tires on my car, I can't, fuck it. Honestly, it's like, I know a lot of looting happens because there's a lot of kids named Chad who want new Nikes from the West Side. But also, sometimes I was here for the Rodney King thing. A lot of times it's the only answer to a really disastrous problem where you just feel like you're backed into a corner, you have nothing to lose.
Right.
They don't understand that kind of anger and frustration and need. They don't understand it. And Ida and I talk all the time about, you either know what government cheese tastes like or you don't.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Protesters for the Armenia, the ones that are trying to, get funding for Armenia to protect them and save them because there's a war still going on, they learned that the hard way. They were always openly a good chunk of them, but not all of them, were openly outspoken against the protests during the BLM movement.
Right.
But they found out that all their peaceful protesting wasn't garnering media attention. It wasn't until they started damaging some things in order to get media coverage. And it's a really sad thing. You can be as peaceful as you want, but unless you're causing some type of havoc or anything like that, nobody's going to cover it.
Well, what I do wish though is that the rioting, the energy for rioting though, instead of like sometimes going to mom and pop shops and stuff, I wish what they did is they go, well, where's the representative that's voting for the shit we don't like? Where's his house? Let's go there. Roll up the guillotine now. We don't have to use it. You just got to roll it to the front yard.
Well,
Those are just dummies. Those are dummies. It's like that girl that spit in the cop's face over the weekend in New York. She didn't have to do that. There was no need to. What was she even protesting about? The results haven't even come in. I mean, there were protests here in LA last night, but they were peaceful. I at some point it did get a little rowdy in reference to police and sirens, but they were peaceful, and it was over the proposition results because those came in already.
Well, I mean, I don't ever want to get into the space where I'm glorifying peaceful protesting, because I think that people of color and marginalized people always peacefully protest and they absolutely get nothing out of it. And I think it's very interesting that the people who took everything by force turned around and told you have a right to a peaceful protest. A country that is built on rioting and looting. Fucking the Boston Tea Party, the fucking Trail of Tears, that shit was brutal. That shit was not peaceful. So, right. I just think it's important that we watch the language, because I think a lot of people are always policing us and telling us how we're supposed to express our rage and our frustration. And when you're talking about people who are in communities where the police beats them up all the time, they're not fucking seen as human beings. The resources are not there. Right. Schools are shit. They're being unjustly policed. What do you think is going to happen? So What do you think is going to happen? It is the voice. What did Martin Luther King said? Writing is the language of the unheard.
Yeah.
But that's just one of the greatest mind fucks of the United States of America, is that after they raped and pillaged and stole from the natives, and then they stole black people from Africa, brought them here, beat them, raped them, tore their teeth out of their mouths. They did it to Asian people here. They put them in concentration camps. They've been doing this shit to people forever, and then they turn around and say, "Oh, look how violent you are." We learned it from you, motherfucker. We learned it from you.
And then when you call it out, they'll say like,
they say
right, there's a
Sorry.
great clip. Everybody's probably seen it. It's pretty old. During Farrakhan's heyday, he's sitting on Donahue and he's talking about, exactly what you just said, Ada. But then there's a white woman who gets up and she says, "Well, that sounds like violence to me." And he goes, "But you're thinking about," he said, "but I think all of you are thinking about how you think. You're not looking at it from the point of view of the person who is actually oppressed. You think it sounds violent because you are violent, not because it is violent for us to think this way." And so, and it's just true. It's a mind fuck. I was telling everybody that the Supreme Court actually struck down a decision by the Louisiana Supreme Court because a police officer in Baton Rouge was hit by a rock during the Alton Sterling protest, and he damage to an eye. I think there was brain damage, definitely damage to a jaw. And they sued BLM and Derek Feason there in Louisiana, and the Louisiana Supreme Court upheld the decision for them to sue. And the Supreme Court of the United States actually struck it down, saying that you cannot sue a social organization, which BLM is considered. But ultimately, you already, police officers, believe in a system where people can be hurt and no one has to be accountable. You want someone to pay for what happened to you, but you have already agreed that it is okay for people to be killed, hurt, lives to be changed, and for no one to be accountable. And now
you know what? Furthermore than that, I'm tired of this bullshit rhetoric about cops that it is my job to make it home safely. No, motherfucker, it is your job for me to make it home safely. It's not your job to make this whole idea that we're supposed to be protecting the police is bullshit.
It's insane.
What happens if you get busted upside the fucking head with a rock while you're on the job? That is part of the job. That is part of the job of being a cop. And this whole idea that they're supposed to be protected, no, you're supposed to be doing the protecting. And guess what? Sometimes you don't come home. Sometimes you get shot. You don't ever hear soldiers saying that shit. My job is to get back to America safely. No, because they've been brainwashed that their job is to go out and do whatever they need to do to uphold whatever the American people, whatever the American government bullshit is enforcing in other people's countries. So why is it that we do that with police officers? Why are we sitting here saying, well, he got busted with a rock, and you think you can sue because you were doing your job and you got hurt on the job? That's part of your job?
That's fine. It was insane. Like I said, it was insane. I thought it was an interesting day for a very conservative Supreme Court to actually side with, I'm not going to say that they sided with BLM, but they struck a decision in BLM's favor. So I was actually very moved by that. But I just kept thinking, but you guys are never accountable for what you do, and you're just mad right now. And here's the thing, and my heart goes out to whatever is going on with you physically, but you want someone to pay, but no one on your side wants to pay for anything or be accountable for any fucking thing that you do in these streets.
Here's the problem, but when you talk about peaceful protesting, because everybody refers to Gandhi. Well, Gandhi wasn't in a country where the entire police force was militarized because of a 20-year war where they just kept selling tanks to the local cops. So peacefully protesting in this country they are such psychopaths. Talk about wearing masks and shields and everything. It's like, well, gee, are you expecting trouble?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, why are the people we were going to hit with the heat?
Right? Yeah,
like why are those people we were planning to hit with the heat ray throwing rocks at us? I don't understand their logic.
Yeah, it's absurd. And
I feel bad for the cop. That sounds like a horrible injury.
What about that incident you were talking about? Remember, Dan, yesterday with the cops pulling over to pull out the pallet of bricks?
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. Is there was this whole thing about, and it seemed like a conspiracy theory at first about the bricks showing up at protest sites, right? But the only video we actually have of bricks being put somewhere are coming out of a cop car.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't have a video of a car with BLM spray paint on the sign because they wouldn't. They're not that dumb, like bringing bricks out or anything. Like
That's their retirement plan, though. You take a brick in the face and you're off. You get your pension. It's nice. That's all I'm saying. You know?
it's like shooting yourself in the foot to get out of Nam.
There's a cop in New York who killed his son.
Right.
I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, there's a cop in New York that killed his son that was charged with his murder in January. The child was unfortunately special needs. I'm assuming he couldn't handle his care anymore, so he had him sleep in below 60-degree temperature in a garage outside. Died of hypothermia. He quit the force this week in order not to lose his pension.
Wow.
He was still
working.
He might have been on leave, of course, but
He was
still on the job. He was not fired. He was charged for murder in January.
There's hypocrisy. They are so pro-union for cops.
Now, I was gonna say it's the unions, though. There's no accountability. Ed Namrock has a great comment. If we could highlight that, just bringing it back to the Breonna Taylor. But yes, Mark, just they are protected by their unions. But he says, let's not forget about the Louisville officer who fatally shot Breonna Taylor and is now suing the boyfriend for emotional distress.
Well, let's also not forget about the cop that was outside the apartment who couldn't see through the windows. I think there was drapes or something. He had no visibility, who once he heard shots just started shooting into the windows. And he has had no punishment. Now that should get you a punishment for being that reckless.
You shouldn't be able to carry a firearm.
No,
but it's
trouble that way, I think.
I always tell people this story. It happened a couple of years ago. I was living in Virginia briefly for a couple of years. The Hispanics, very rare. I had darker hair. Now I still look pretty Hispanic, but I looked very Hispanic before. And I was with a friend. I was a passenger in her car. She was driving. She was white. We get pulled over a headlight. She had reported her car stolen a couple of days ago. She had recovered and retrieved it. The officer saw me, called for backup, immediately told me to get out of the car, patted me down, handcuffed me, and put me in the back of the cop car. During the entire process, my friend was still in the driver's seat, not at any point moved.
Wow.
I think that people don't realize that these people are afraid. These cops are afraid of what they don't know. And it does not justify what they do or decide to act on impulse. People are dying because they're afraid of people they're not familiar with. And that's what pisses me off. I was lucky. I was released. I didn't get an apology. My friend got an apology because she was pulled over. Me, nothing. Me in the cop car, completely. By the way, handcuffs are not comfortable. They're very, very painful.
Well, except during date night, they're okay then.
Yeah. Did you see the two cops? They pulled over a white guy. The white guy was completely non-compliant. It went on for like 15 minutes, and he finally shot both of them.
Right.
And I'm like, you're watching it, and it's such an embarrassing, hateful, shitty moment to see this white guy who's completely out of control, complete asshole, huge buff guy. And by the time the two cops get out, who I think both cops were white, this guy was white, by the time they get him out of the car, he pulls a gun out from under the seat, kills one, shoots them both, kills one of them. And I'm like, oh my God, what could be more glaringly apparent than they just thought, oh, it's just a kid. It's a drunk kid. Well, no, it was a 30-year-old white guy with a gun on his feet and fucking shot both of them.
Misguided youth. Boys will be boys.
Right. That kind of bullshit happens all the time. And by the way, these judges that these fucking vultures that put in these courts, if prisons will be a growth fucking industry with these people in charge. I will tell you that. And they all need to be stopped. And the bail thing needs to stop because bail is racism. When they say, well, how come so many people of color are dying from COVID? Why do you fucking think? Because they don't have it as good as you in this country, which is deeply racist and has been 400 years ago, since its inception. That's why is the number so much higher? Because they don't have what fucking white people have. It's just a fact. It's not personal. You know, math isn't personal. It's just a fact.
Right.
That's how this country is.
And I think that Mark, you and I could do we're bearded white guys, I think you and I should do a PSA to poor white guys out there. Hey, you probably should stop voting against universal health care and subsidized college because you're fucked too.
Well, that's what's true. This country is deeply racist, and black people don't have it good in this country. But I will say, and the thing that, and Ida and I talk about it, poverty. You know, I'll drop a name. I met with Bernie Sanders. It was amazing. And first thing he said was, until he was just coming back from seeing coal miners in West Virginia. And he said, until Democrats start to give a shit about these poor people who are broke, not black, not white, poor people. Let's just focus on poor people. If you take race out of that equation, you say poor people in this country are who we need to give a shit about. Seniors, students, veterans, homeless veterans. Until we give a fuck about the least of us and those people, why wouldn't they vote for the fucking con man? Because they really don't feel like they have much to lose. When they don't get help on student debt, I blame both of them. This country is really messed up. The poor people are suffering the most. And the fact that Democrats and Republicans can't get their shit together to give a $1,400 check to the least of us,
right?
I'll get it, but they need it the most. That they can't do that is astonishing. There's countries in Europe that have paid for this pandemic, and we are so bad off. And I read Chris Hedges all the time, and I know Chris Hedges tells the truth, but I am telling you, I think when Biden wins, and he will win, it's going to be a big, huge hangover because everybody's going to be like, what now?
That's right.
Because the symptom was Trump. Trump was not the disease. He's just an aspect of our disease. Our disease is capitalism.
Yes.
And, all right. I'm gassing enough.
You're totally right.
But we were talking about that, Mark, even in our opening. And I think the thing is, everybody has to just go to 2.0 in these weeks that I've been on different Zoom conversations. I was like, as an African American, one thing I've always witnessed about our fights and then our gains and then the cycle that goes back down is that everybody we bolt through the door, we push it open, we get this one or two gains, and then everybody's like, I'm so exhausted, and then the work stops. But I was like, we either have to rev up and get our energy back and be ready to carry it further where it's going to take more heavy lifting, or be ready to have prepared a generation, a group, collective, whatever, that we can pass the baton to. But I think that it's where there's this place where we come in, and there's just work for us to do as people in this system as well. It's not we're not at fault for what has happened to us, but I believe that it's very key that we say, okay, but how do we keep the momentum, expand the momentum, reimagine system, and really begin to make some things happen and understand the commitment that it may not happen in my lifetime. Like, I have a child. I pray to have grandchildren. I pray to not necessarily live to see my great or great grandchildren, but I want a better world for every generation that would come, from me, just as I knew my own great grandfather. And there is the place where we become weary after, like I said, after we make the gain. So there's so many pieces to this very powerful puzzle. And I think the focus of, anybody on the ground is then how do I become a piece of the solution and stay activated, stay strengthened, stay motivated, stay up in energy to keep it going, whatever the it is, but to keep it really, really going. I think that's
the system.
Democrats and Republicans right now, what's really interesting about this election is that Republicans won. A lot of them won in the House and the Senate, while Trump is going to lose and Biden's going to win, which tells you something really interesting about what's happening here. They're not signing. First of all, Democrats don't pay progressives. They don't put money into progressives. If there's any other instance where they can pick somebody besides a progressive, they do that. They're going to fuck themselves because progressives are the Tea Party of the future. The Republicans absorbed the Tea Party. It made them stronger. I'm sorry, but the DNC and all of them, they push the progressives off. They don't want them. And the fact is, it's their only hope for the future. Because if progressives and Bernie or anyone form a second party, they split the left.
Right.
And Republicans will win and win and win for 20 fucking years. So it's like this election was really interesting. Republicans did really good in the Senate and the House, which tells you a lot. So it's basically them shoring up, dumping off nut job McShitgiven, keeping keeping their place in line, which Democrats can't do. We fund Amy McGrath. We had a very progressive, good candidate there. And they go, well, he lost by 15,000 votes. Of course, because the DNC backed Amy McGrath over a guy who could have beat
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch.
Really? Okay. The other thing, somebody brought it up last night, and Aiden, you were about to say, I don't want to miss it. AOC will be 35.
In 4 years.
In 4 years, AOC will be of age to run for president. And I want to shout out Ed Nemrock, who brought that definitely to my attention last night. And so it plugs back into what you said, because that's something that, again, I love school. It's a school day every day. These are the things that we really have to think about. I call myself a card-carrying Democrat, but you've given me something to think about. And as I go out, I'm like, okay, well, how do we plug into what Mark said? And Ada, you were about to say.
Well, I mean, I agree with Mark. I think that it's preposterous that that being progressive is seen as radical. That the toxic capitalism in this country has indoctrinated the average person to idolize a Jeff Bezos, which they will never be, probably.
Right.
Facts.
Attainable, and not even realizing. I don't have conversations about socialism, not even with people in my family. My stepfather's Cuban. And the whole they're trying to turn this into a socialist country, and I'm like, this is socialist, you dumb fuck. It just doesn't benefit you, but the socialism is here. And listen, you pay taxes that gives these motherfuckers the best health care, and their children go to the best schools while you're in debt trying to figure it out for yourself. So you can miss me with that whole socialism, communism shit. There's nothing more communistic looking than locked up mailboxes and deployed police that has no identification, snatching up and kidnapping Americans. You want to talk to me about communism? Then you tell me what resembles China more, Cuba more, Russia more than the way that Donald Trump has been behaving. He idolizes fucking dictators. He hangs out with them, goes with them. He said they want me to win. So what is it that he just said today? Stop counting the votes. The votes that matter are the ones that were for me. The ones that are not for me are fake. The media is fake news. They're the enemy of the people. So don't talk to me about communism and tell me that Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are trying to turn this place into Cuba. No, they're trying to turn this place into fucking Sweden. They're trying to turn this place into that's far more progressive. And Democrats are toxic because what they do is they cower. They're cowards. These Republicans and these GOP people will shit on their mothers to keep power. And then Democrats are running around saying dumb shit like words hurt. So do
That was the funniest thing I ever saw was when they go, we need more help from the government. We need a new check. And it was Republicans, like it said, Republicans, sorry, ain't going to happen. Democrats, sorry, ain't going to happen. Rainbow flag, black power sign. And it's the same shit. It's the same shit. When you have fucking, what's her fucking name? One of the fucking Jenners or Kardashians putting a flower in a gun. It's like, Are you fucking out of your mind? Are you
that Coca-Cola commercial or something?
Coca-Cola,
That Pepsi.
The same woman that threw a Halloween mask at a bunch of people.
Kurt Cobain, when the grunge department showed up in Sears, it was over. Grunge was over. When you get co-opted by commercial shit, like Ida was saying, this commercial shit where they go, so you go, oh, so you're for civil rights? Yeah, it's really on brand for me. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking poser. Oh,
and that's my problem with the Democratic Party is that you see these motherfuckers double down, punch you in your face, and you sit down and say, hashtag, no, we don't fight. We don't fight. We don't have passion. They tone us down. Joe Biden is a fucking Republican in Democrats' clothing, and that is why he can win, because he made those racist people and he made those people who racism wasn't a deal breaker for feel comfortable by making them feel like I'm not gonna ruffle the feathers. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna do this. Time and time again, that gets us.
Okay,
I just feel like sometimes Americans are like this abused spouse who goes, well, at least you went back to only hitting me in the stomach.
Yeah, nothing changes. And listen, racism is older than the Democratic and the Republican Party.
Yep.
And so we sit here and we look towards these parties and think that they're going to make a difference. How? Those systems were built on the back of racism. They are just racism is as American as whatever American is that they didn't steal. So when you tell me that, we're going to sit here and talk about what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? Mark and I both agree. A lot of times I don't feel like we really have moved forward. Just because they remove the shackles and the chains doesn't mean that it's over. Look at the prison system.
Yeah.
Neighborhood.
Racism is universal. I hate it, and I've seen it. My family that still lives in El Salvador, all my light-skinned family members live in a nice part, have money. All my dark-skinned black family members live in huts, live in rock-built houses that could collapse at any earthquake were to hit there very easily.
That's the world over, by the way. That's like that in India as well. It's like that in it's fucking Hotel Rwanda. I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable that is like that, and it's absurd, and really it's like, I mean, if you got burned, we're all from Africa, as I understand it. If you had light skin, you had to get the fuck out. You were gonna die. And so we as a humanity, we spread out into the areas we spread out, and all of a sudden some people that moved far away are like, man, I think I'm better than those people back home. And it's all just ridiculous bullshit, But they use that. When I was a kid, I grew up in New York, and I was in gangs, and we had black gangs and white gangs and Puerto Rican gangs. And the fact was, and I liked cops better back then because they would beat your ass and they would take your drugs, but they wouldn't arrest you, and I appreciated that. But they did it to all of us because we were all poor, but we didn't realize that we were all in the same boat. We were tribalized. Which is our biggest mistake, is if all of us can't realize that, oh, by the way, if Hillary had not called them deplorable, had she said those people are stupid cunts, she would have won. Yep. By calling them deplorable, they're like, what does deplorable mean? Yeah. That bitch. But if she had said you're all stupid cunts, they would have said, she's plain spoken. I'm going to vote for her,
She tells it like it is.
She tells it like it is.
That's why
being too nice is how we lose.
Well, what can you really expect from a bunch of people? Because even there's a bunch of white people in this country that don't even realize that since 1978, wages haven't kept up with inflation, and they've done nothing about it. They've watched as everything gets more expensive. The rich are getting richer, but your wages aren't going up with it.
But that's everybody's fault. That's Obama's fault too, by the way. We could have raised the minimum wage. It's Clinton's fault. It's everybody's fault. It's all the Democrats' fault. I'm not going to go full Jimmy Dore. I'm just going to tell you that all of them should have watched our back.
Nobody's been looking out for that. Nobody's done anything about the housing crisis or the rise in or the decrease in wages or things not, going up with inflation. Nobody's given a shit about even the middle class having a lower standard of living nationwide over time.
And I still don't understand how the proposition for rent control did not pass. It's an obvious issue here in Los Angeles, especially after the pandemic, but it still didn't pass.
It was money. The gap is getting wider, and that's not by accident. Mm-hmm. And these motherfuckers gonna realize that these people living under these tents in these tent cities are gonna eat your fucking ass one day. So they don't realize.
That might be a party to some people.
Yeah, it will be, because let me tell you what's happening. Like, this is the gap is getting wider and wider between the haves and the have-nots, and they keep deluding these white dumb people into believing, well, at least you're white, so you're better than them. Your ass is going to burn too. This what's happening in this country, it was written about years ago, and it's been in play for a long time, dumbing us down. There are people still walking around like Bill Gates is trying to put a chip in our hand. You got a chip in your hand. That fucking phone you take everywhere.
Bill Gates once met with Jeffrey Epstein. What about the multiple times Donald Trump did? I didn't hear about that.
You won't, because they specifically, first of all, they have a vessel that feeds their flock all of the information that they need. That's like the fluoride to keep them docile and complacent. And they tell them what they want to hear to make them feel better about themselves. They will tell you these immigrants are coming to take your jobs, but they won't tell you why these immigrants are here and what you were doing over there without a condom to destabilize those people's economies and fuck their countries up. Look at Bolivia. Look at all the shit you go and do in other people's countries. And then you complain when they come here. Do you think anybody would want to leave their country where the food is seasoned and they get to and they get to be around their own people in their own culture? Why do you think they come here? Because we've been there, shitting in their houses. So I don't have these arguments with people anymore. I realize that you cannot have a conversation with somebody who's a fan versus a constituent, because a constituent is going to hold you accountable. He's going to criticize you. He's going to say, that's wrong. I don't like it when you do that. You need to fix that. A fan is going to hold up a sign with one tooth in their mouth and say, you know what? God bless America. The aliens are coming. You can't have conversations with those people. And those people are the way they are, and it's not by accident.
Well, that's where we got the word devout, is because the negative connotation for fanatic.
Fanatic. So Herman Melville wrote Moby Dick about this. That's exactly what this is about. It's about white people and people of color. If you don't get your shit together, we're all going to die. And that's why the whale was this big white Leviathan. And it's like this has been, and it's my daughter-in-law gave me a book called White Trash, which explained the 400 years of shit that white people have been doing.
And by the way, I got almost banned from Facebook by using the term white trash. I wanted to tell them you're screwing with my heritage.
See, that's why I can't even say cracker, and I say cracker all the time. And now I've gotten to the point where I just put up a picture of saltines and go, you know what I'm saying, and they can't do anything. They can't do anything about that. But yeah, I mean, they're crackers. Come on, and now I've replaced it with hillbilly.
You're obviously talking about sodium. From all Facebook.
You know why they're called crackers? Because they're brittle, white, and weak.
I would love to make a company called Was Up that sells crackers.
You guys, this has been such an amazing conversation. We want to honor everybody's time. So everybody, let us know how we want to do a check-in. Ada, we asked you for 30 minutes of time and you've blessed us with an hour. So you let us know if you want to keep hanging. Mark, we're happy to have you guys, and this is what we wanted. This is an incredible time. But they always my friends call me the church lady, because I say we want to honor the time, because I don't know another way to say. Let us know if you're okay, or let us know if you want to roll out. We have 26 more minutes on the broadcast. We have some fun stuff, but this conversation I think is so necessary. And and I think, I like I said, every day is a school day. Like, you guys literally have. I just last week said that I'm a Democrat till I die, and in this one conversation, I'm like, well, maybe not, because I seriously, because what I am more interested in than any two-party system is progress and serious overcoming for people, for melanated people, and all people, poor people, obviously everybody, and progressive change that is maintained, and to activate generations and electorates that will not just reimagine but sustain, because we've got these systems. They have to go. Yeah. They have to go.
But it will be dismantled. It's going to be dismantled because the fact that the squad is all back.
Right.
That's the brightest spot in this whole thing. When I saw AOC, and I've loved AOC out of the gate, and I think it's such a fucking hypocritical thing when they go, oh, she's a bartender. It's like, yeah, she had a job which you assholes look down on.
Yeah, well, they didn't. Their dad gave them money, and they ended up being in office one day. That's about it.
Right. Yeah, and that's hysterical too. A guy getting handed $5 million when his father dies, looking down on a bartender from.
Yeah.
But he was like five. You gave me 5.
Well, maybe it was like he gave him 5 to start, and then gave him the other 300 million.
Yeah,
later.
it was 5 at the start, but that was what, in the 70s or the 80s?
But he
Must
spent,
be nice.
he spent a lot of that money on man, woman, camera, hookers, blow, Adderall.
Pee right here. Pee right here.
Before he got to the bottom of the list,
They always talk about the art of the deal, but they never talk about the book, The Art of the Comeback. It's hard to find. You can never find it, right? Because that's the book about how many times he failed.
I will give him that. He's a okay pirate, I guess. Now I know that we're probably going to not have one of our segments, but I did want to address something. Ida, I was watching some of your stand-up, and there was something you said about the Kardashians that made me laugh so hard because I've had a similar thought about the Kardashians, and I also believe that Kris Jenner is a ringleader of a circus. Those weren't your exact words; those are mine. You didn't say that, but I always have this scene in my mind of Kris Jenner. She's sitting there and she's looking at Kanye, going, "You have to support Trump." He's like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because we have to stay in the news." You know what? You love this family. You support Trump. Bruce got tits for this family. What are you going to do?
Wait, did Bruce go? Bruce didn't go all the way, did he?
No, he didn't get the Wayne cut off.
Oh, I thought he did.
No, he's trying to be in geriatric hentai.
You know what I say to that? What a pussy.
Right.
He wishes.
But Ida, I actually really did love that bit. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, someone said it, didn't get booed on stage. Maybe I could talk about this too. I'm not sure though.
I'm at the bottom of the food chain, so I can say a lot of things that you can't.
I'm crawling up.
I can say anything I want. Nobody cares. And believe it or not, I get banned. My shit's private anyways. Like you have to, well, Twitter's not, but Facebook, Instagram, you have to ask to follow me, So I've kept both to just like 3,000 of my closest personal friends. So, but I don't give a shit. I say what I want. Gary Cannon, never mind. I'm not going to say it.
Well, I was listening to Mike DeStefano the other day, not Chris DeStefano, but Mike DeStefano. There's a guy who says what he wants like this. I think he's hilarious too. And it's like, oh my God, you got a way of saying that. That's amazing. But he's hilarious.
You know what? So Instagram is algorithm based, right? I make sure to continue liking Mark's post because he has the best memes in the world.
Yes, I just grabbed one right now because I was trying to repost it and I forgot that his account is private.
Yeah.
Wait, you got nudes, Mark?
Oh, it's for fans only.
Yeah, okay.
I'm laughing at it right now.
He's like, send him a 50 for a nipple pic.
In this entire world, I'm proud to say I have not one single dick pic. I mean, there is a picture of me from the early 90s with a mullet, but that's as close as I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I guess it's so weird because people think I'm a radical, but I'm actually also super old fashioned. I'm like, you don't have to send the ladies a picture of your dick. You just don't,
No.
There's probably a better way to get their attention. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I lucked out because before I would ever have the urge to send a dick pic, I was in the beginning of high school, and I was hanging out with a friend, and he goes, "Hey, check this out. This is my girlfriend," and shows me a picture of his girlfriend in lingerie, and that made me realize that no matter what you send someone else can see it.
Right.
Wow.
Not a good idea.
It's all forever. Like that. I used to worry because I was raised Catholic. I thought, well, God's, got everything on tape, but God tape and a VCR in heaven.
Right.
I can't. And then it's like, oh my God. And now fucking Jeff
So-
Bezos has everything on tape.
You wouldn't believe the porn he has.
That's now. I do have some questions. Where can there's lots of people in the chat. Where can we see you guys? What's coming up? We want to know from you, Mark, and then like what's coming up, you guys? What are your shows? What's in this time? What is next for you guys? Where can we see you guys?
I'm on tour in 2024. And, I don't know. I swear to God, I don't know. Ida actually is probably working. I'm still, I write things. I've never sort of stopped being a writer. I just kind of dropped out for a while, and I came back to stand up like 4 years ago and started pitching again. And so, but it's really like until it's in deadline or a done deal, I never talk about sort of what I'm writing. But I'm writing a couple new shows, and things look promising. But talking about them is, first of all, I don't want to jinx it, and second of all, until the check has been cashed, it's not real.
Well, you have co-created some awesome
but
shows,
we didn't
buddy.
get to go over we didn't get to talk about your bio too much before you came in, and so Stacy, tell us.
I have to say this though. Mark was so kind to do our show, our stand-up show last year, and if he does a show, and I highly recommend following him, he's hilarious. He brought the house down. I had so many people go up to me saying, when is he doing the next show? Like, you were a complete crowd pleaser. And by the way, he holds nothing back. This is why I adore Mark. He holds nothing back.
Go look up his jokes about the dog on YouTube right now. Perfect.
Which ones? There's so many. Oh, that.
No, so when you look up you on YouTube, the first video, Mark Brazil stand up, is only about, I think, 4 or 5 minutes. It just kills the entire time. It's beautiful. And then of course, Ida has videos on YouTube right now, a bunch of videos showing a long career in comedy that beautifully, for me, I love beautifully edgy. Like, I love both of you guys' stuff. I was watching it in preparation for the show and going, okay, now I need to find more of this stuff. I need to find the Netflix specials. I need, everything.
When Ida gets her own show or I create one for her, I hope to open for her. And I'm not kidding. That would be like my dream. Because talk about not giving a fuck and not holding back and telling the truth. She's a fucking rock star. And you know what?
Yeah.
I love her and Eddie Pepitone. There's very few people that I'm like, oh my God. But Ida's one of them.
That joke about eating cats, Ida. Mwah.
It's crazy. I think when did your Facebook joke at the Laugh Factory go viral? It was a while, like 10. It wasn't 10 years. How long ago?
It was no, that was it was about 4 years ago.
So that is how I found out about you, because it went viral. It was about Facebook. And I was like, I need to follow her. Like, I need to see more stand up. And it was actually so nice, because the reality is there's not a lot of Latinas that do stand up. There's so many people that are so afraid to get out of their comfort zone and talk about real stuff. And I'm like, you guys can talk about everything to yourselves, but you can't do it in front of a stage. And that's why I enjoyed it. And when I saw you on Tiffany Haddish's She Ready, I was like, yes, I want to see more of her.
Thank
and
you.
Your special came out, and I was so happy. Like, I honestly, you are a rock star. I have to repeat what Mark said. You're a rock star.
Well, we don't want to forget her work on TYT as well, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's
very important. One place that you can rant and not be like having the big network guys going, that's not going to help our stocks.
That yesterday, Breitbart wrote an article about me, and then Tucker Carlson posted one of my videos on his page. So I had all the weirdos,
If Tucker Carlson doesn't like you, you're doing something great for this nation.
And he just lost a lawsuit last week with one of Trump's prostitutes who sued him because he said incorrect information on his segment. But he was like, his lawyers were like, well, it's not a real show. You shouldn't give a shit about his opinion. It's not real. You should know better. That's exactly what his lawsuit.
That's exactly what they did with Alex Jones when he was in this custody battle with his family. They said, look, it's just entertainment. He doesn't really believe anything he's saying. It's public record. it's public record, and yet he still has fans going, "No, he's the real deal," because you're a fucking moron. That's why you think he's the real deal.
You guys, I don't even know if you remember this. There used to be a big, huge scandal because every comic at some point about 25 years ago said wrestling's fake.
Right.
And, you know, I think Hulk Hogan put Belzer on his head, and then Andy Kaufman got in a chokehold by the guy from They Live or whatever, and they finally had to change it to sports entertainment. And on the 70s show, I did a show where my dad and I went to see wrestling, which we really did. We met Bobo Brazil, who was famous for the Cocoa Butt back in the 70s. And Bobo was from Brazil. And so we had The Rock. It was his first time on television aside from wrestling. And he played his dad.
Oh yeah.
And like one of Jim McMahon, who's like whatever, he's on the phone with me and his attorney sounds like this. Hey, listen, you know, we get script approval, so let me tell you something. This is how this is going to go. And I'm like, I can't believe this is an attorney. And so The Rock had to say, and it's him playing his father saying, someday my son will be the greatest wrestler in all of sports entertainment. And by the way, the show's taking place in like 76. They didn't have to call it, but they had to legally change it to sports entertainment. And all the jokes were like usually pretty the same joke, but it's like, who the fuck would bet on wrestling? You know?
Well, oh my God, if you're betting on wrestling,
it's not, you know.
I've got a wall to sell you.
Wow. But and to our viewers, Mark brings up that 70 show, but so Umbly co-creator of the show, and also I was a big fan of Third Rock from the Sun. So so every day is a school day when I learned
thank you
about that. And I one of your jokes that had me from the beginning when you talked about that you had good hair and that these bitches think and it's just a boat drop off. Like every day is a school day when you were talking about the difference between Puerto Rican and being, black, like there's no difference. It's just a boat drop off. It's just a boat drop off. And I just used to always.
By the way, Mark, you are guilty of forming my uncle's character who likes to remind me that I am a dumbass all the time.
Oh, no.
Red Foreman's so great. I mean,
nothing burns my shit more than, like, literally, Kurtwood called me up one time and said, like years ago, and Kurtwood and I are friends, and he's not shy about his politics. He had a benefit for Obama that I was at with a lot of people. So he doesn't, but he calls me up and he goes, somebody's put a thing that said Red would vote for Trump. I said, yeah, we can't change that. That's the internet. It's just kind of, and so people have this misconception that character would vote for Trump. And I'm like, well, first of all, it's based on my father. Second of all, the guy fought in Korea and he fought in the Pacific. He fucking hates fascists. He doesn't vote for them. He kills them. Okay?
Yeah.
And he worked in a factory and he was a liberal Democrat his whole life. And he may have been a badass and a hard ass. But by the way, I like that because I think liberals and Democrats need to be badasses and hard asses. And I think they need to play a little harder and angrier. Because, it's like, don't become a monster when fighting monster. However, if you keep losing to the fucking monster, become a monster.
And remember to call the monster a cunt now and then.
That's why I love AOC. She is assertive and she can be mean. And we need that.
She always does her homework. Katie Porter and AOC, good God, I would shit my pants if they walk in to question them. Because they're like, they never phone it in. They're never like, I didn't go to sleep last night. They have every fact and figure a number, and they're like attorneys, and they rope-a-dope you.
Right.
Getting you to, then you finally say it's this, and then they fucking plunge the fucking dynamite plunger on.
Wow.
All these corporate fucking scum. It's amazing.
She's amazing to watch. Just as a quick sidebar, Ed Namrock says "Dial M for Dick" is the greatest episode of all time. Just wanted to like that comment there.
I was so amazed by in Third Rock from the Sun, John Lithgow's performance, because you actually start to believe here's a guy that's not from this world. He really doesn't know what the fuck is going on at all. And then I'm forget Stewart.
Oh, Fred Stewart. Yeah, he was brilliant, by the way. He had that show. we had the show after the Super Bowl, and this just killed me. But it was like supermodels come down and they're aliens and they're going to take over the world. It could happen. It could happen. So we have Cindy Crawford and Angie Everhart. I mean, it's nuts, you know. And you know, I'm like a 28, 30-year-old writer just going pretty. And so French Stewart is like he's in the show. His date is Cindy Crawford, and he looks at her and he goes, you know, you'd be really pretty if you got that thing taken off your face.
Wow. Guys, we want to say we want to send love to Ada as she gets ready to jump, and so you guys, we just want to say my goodness, more thank you, please, thank you so much
for having me, especially with Mark, because I love Mark. Mark,
I love you.
Breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they still serving breakfast in America?
I'm not supposed to have half of it, but I do anyway.
COVID numbers? Yes.
If you're here, I want to see you anytime. You just tell me, I'll be there.
Okay.
Do a Zoom breakfast. Someone has steak and eggs, and the other person has oatmeal. And goes, what the fuck?
This guy, we do turkey and burgers in person.
Amen.
It would be an honor to get COVID from you, Ida.
Thank you very much, Ida, for being here. You've been a great trooper and a great guest.
And Steven, Stacy, Dana, I love y'all, man. I appreciate you. Mark is a genius, and we got to get back to 3 the hard way because we got work to do.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you. And listen, don't get so stressed out about this election. Shit ain't gonna change.
All right. Thank you.
What happen is that cuckoo will be out of the house, but at least now you know that your neighbors really don't like you.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have that, facade of friendliness anymore that they do at church.
Right.
You know, they will eventually, they're biting their noses to spite their faces, and they will feel the wrath of what they've been sowing the seeds to their own fucking oppression. So let them keep doing it. They're gonna die.
I don't want to live in America when it becomes China.
But thank you. I appreciate y'all. And Mark, I'll call you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's one of the things I do get worried about is that I see this trend. I work in software, and I see the American lifestyle is diminishing. Our hours are going up, our wages are going down, and it's like, do you really want to live like the people that are mostly on the right that are saying it's okay that the rich do what they want and propelling this? They don't understand that what they're propelling us to is to live like China, where you have people working 60 hours a week to live in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 generations of their family. That's completely the opposite of the American dream, as far as I'm concerned. Like, we should not be giving into that.
Who's going to be able to afford all your overpriced shit if you destroy the American work? You know, it's like they don't have any. By the way, Faison Love and I started out together at the Comedy Store in the early 80s, and we've been friends forever. We were both underage. We couldn't even go in and have a drink. And when Trump won, I was like pissing and moaning about it. And Faison said, one of the funniest things I've ever heard. He goes, "Oh no, Trump won. Are things going to get bad for black people in America now?" You know, I hear you. I got it. And I was like, wow. And the intellect in that statement has resonated for 4 years. Because what the fuck?
But with Trump, it actually got more dangerous for even liberal white people. So that's
we're all in this. You know, it's like climate change and Trump are like you're in a boat with a bunch of people, and it's a lifeboat, and the Titanic sank, and some of the people go, maybe we could bail faster if we punch a hole in the bottom of the boat. It's like, well, clearly these people have to be thrown out of the boat.
Right.
And so, but you're all in the boat together. So the survival of all of us depends on the fact that not some of us are insane, you know, and that so both Trump and racism and climate change, it's all the same thing. When you deny these things are happening, you deny that they matter, you're putting everyone in danger, everyone, you know. And I was here for the riots, and the riots didn't give a shit who you are. But again, the poor people lose the most, because it's just this kind of this fascism that's going to press down upon you, whether it's bail, whether it's jail, whether it's bankruptcy, whether your apartment burns down. It's like that's who always loses in a revolution, unless, well, except for the French, you know, they killed the right people. They had.
That's why you got to have the guillotines. I mean, even if you don't use them, you roll them up to the driveway.
I think that's a growth industry. I hope it is. Really. You know, I watch Batman and think Bane should run. You know?
Oh, yes.
I'm like, you know, I used to think Bane was like a terrible person, and now I go, is he that bad, really? Is he though?
Is Thanos really that bad?
And the courts seem to work much better in the third Batman, you know? The Scarecrow's just like, fuck you. How much did you make that last year? Guilty. You know, it's like, okay. I used to think that was anarchy, and now I think it's not that bad.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned the Titanic, though, because my hero comes from the Titanic. Do you know who that was, Mark?
The guy that went with a ship down?
I can only assume it was Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, it's the guy in the water going, Marco! Marco, who wants to play this? Come on, we're dying anyway.
By the way, that's a nice metaphor, too. No, if we go back, the balloon will be too full. It's like, okay. That's America too. That's like, but I have to die with a huge bank account. That's somebody's talking about the morgue, and the coroner's walking somebody through the morgue, and there's like 8 dead bodies on each side, and he goes, hey, guess which one had the most toys? It doesn't mean shit, you know.
Yeah.
It's like the Koch brothers. Do you think they were happy people? The one who just died. Do you think the other one's a happy person?
Wow.
No, it's not. You don't leave with anything.
No.
So it's all about what you leave behind.
Well, that's why you invest in tattoos. They can't take those.
You guys, it looks like we're gonna have to have like this was supposed to be like the post-election wrap up, but the election is not wrapped up, so it just looks like like right. So,
we knew that. We were just
right.
We had to get on the train for the marketing.
Right.
Well,
So,
I can tell you that Biden's going to win.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's not. It's like it's mathematically. It's like they kept all these people, you know, from counting the mail-in ballots first, so it looked like there's this big red surge, and of course, as you know, it was like a red tide that when it got to the beach, they go, "Holy shit, it's blue!"
Right.
The red mirage.
The red mirage.
Wisconsin and Michigan.
And I do refer to the GOP as the Red Menace now. I think it's adept for them.
So they're claiming voter fraud, right? But what happened to those missing 300,000 ballots in Florida? And my business partner, he got a random text message from his brother, who is very, very conservative. He's like, good job, you voted, and showed him a picture of my business partner's ballot voting for Trump. So he went and took his ballot and dropped it off. I didn't get ID when I went to vote in person. Yeah.
No matter what happened to those ballots, you know the article starts with a Florida man.
So
that's why they say, I know a lot of people, and let me just say, not every vote should count. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they should do it this way. They go, hey, do you want free tickets to a Kid Rock concert? Yeah, you can't vote. You can't vote. Sorry.
There should be some kind of litmus test.
Is your favorite song Let the Bodies Hit the Floor? Yeah. No, you can't vote either.
But you guys, there's still there's still opportunity, honestly, in the Senate and the House. The Dems are up in the House 208 to 193, needing 218. The GOP is up by only a few points, though, in the Senate, and with the runoff in Georgia, and I don't know how many other undecided races there are. There's still some hope for flipping the Senate. Like, at least I personally am not going to give up hope, but I wanted to give you guys precise numbers on the Senate race. But I'm like trying to grab them right quick. But those are just updates. Everything else is still as it is when we started.
Weren't
The
they
dead.
tied? And then the House, they were off by maybe 2 or something. I can't remember.
Well, it's right now it's 208 to 193. So in terms of electoral votes in the House, so they're not tied. That's just the House. I want to grab the Senate.
No, but the Senate, I think they're tied.
48, 48.
Let's grab it. Is it? Who's got it? Who's got it?
It's 48-48 in the Senate, and the House is 209 to 193.
Okay, so the House went up another point since just okay. So yeah, and I see the tie in the Senate. So I still think there's opportunity, you guys, because like I talked about it before you came on, Mark. And I know like you guys have again, there's an expansion here to the independent, but I'm like pushing everybody in Georgia. Let's get behind Raphael Warnock. Let's see what we can do to make that happen because he did actually come out further ahead of her than when I last looked. I think it's Lindsay Loeffler. I think her name is that he's running against in Georgia. And so that's a big hope for flipping, helping us flip the Senate. So I just think as we wrap out for sure, 1001, the hope is very much, at least for me, very still alive. And I think with what's in front of us, there's a lot of good work that can happen, a lot of good things that can happen. There's still a long road ahead, Mark. I believe you. I agree with you. But I think
our activism needs to be activated and to stay activated forever. And that's the problem too, is that we never look at the small game. We need to vote all the way down every year, especially every 2 years. And that was our big mistake with Obama. We couldn't get anything done because I would submit that this year people were on top of that. I mean, I don't know if you like vote down the ballot, like Marianne Williamson started talking about that before she left the race. Ida mentioned ADOS, and that was something that was on their platform to vote all the way down the ballot. And I don't know if everybody saw the PSA or Get Your Booty to the Polls, the strippers out of Atlanta. Even on their wonderfulness, they were like, and vote for, everybody had that conversation. I really think we saw great activation from the activists that are out there and some people doing, making different choices. So I think it's just got to be more. We just got to keep it going.
And thanks everyone who's been watching. Thanks everyone who's been commenting. And if you're one of my libertarian buds who loves arguing with me, thank you for sitting till the end of the show. Because if you're hearing this, you sat till the end of the show, and that's very brave of you. And
Rand Paul has the worst hair I've ever seen.
And Rand Paul is nothing like his father, no matter what anyone wants to say. Ron Paul may have had some bad ideas, but at least he had principles.
Yeah, Ron Paul's much better than Rand. And by the way, when you look at him and hear him, you understand why the neighbor wanted to kill him.
That's actually a funny story. When I watched that, everything, they were coming at me and telling me I did a bad job. Well, you, as elected representative, that should be your fear every day.
Wow. So we want to say goodnight, everybody, to our commenters, to everybody. We want to say just thank you. And just Mark, again, thank you for hanging. We sometimes never know what to expect. And so we're thrilled that you came on the broadcast and stayed with us until the end.
Yep. I commit.
Thank you.
Thank you.